Should be live now. Alrighty, okay. I'm hoping that my store product is at the bottom. Yeah, I don't know. I'm having problems with that linkage there. Anyway, just let me know if you see the little product there and it works. Takes you to hft.code, hftcode.com. All right, so don't know if we have people coming aboard. I'm not sure if people can hear me okay on this stream, so I'm just gonna blab until somebody comes along, says no, we can't hear you. I'm supposed to be live. All right, so as it stands right now, I've just posted a article on Substack. I haven't posted there in a while. And basically the article said, oh, hello, thank you. Even though I don't see anybody there, I saw a heart, but I appreciate that. Anyways, let me know if you can hear me or not. Just comment, hey, man, hey, can you hear me okay? Just let me know there. Blah, blah, blah. Can I don't know. Yeah, all good, cool. Do you see my product at the bottom? On that C++ HFT market making thing, it takes you to the HFT code. That's supposed to be in there. Appreciate you being here as usual. Okay. Oh, cool. And it takes you to hftcode.com. YouTube's weird. It's saying there's problems with it, so I'm not sure. Anyways, yeah, so I did a Substack article, similar one on my quant analytics, and this is important. I watch the markets every day and scan the markets where the volume and liquidity is going. What I'm finding is lately the big ones like Bitcoin has been flat, and the stock market's pretty well been flat for a couple of weeks. And this is what was brought up in one of the articles I caught on Reddit, of all things, is that the headline was Bitcoin liquidity has quietly dried up. So I did an article on this. And when you look at the markets, there probably is very little activity taking place on the markets in Bitcoin. When I say stock market, that's what I mean. So there might be some liquidity problems there. And if there are liquidity problems, where does that liquidity go? Well, it gets sucked over into precious metals like gold and silver. Copper is moving as well for industrial purposes. And the other one is the private crypto coins, namely Monero, Zcash, and Dash. So that's where the liquidity is going. It's going into these uncertain markets, because that's one thing. And on top of that, the markets are going into, well, we all are, the West, are going into a new monetary system. And what we used to have, like fiat currency, all that, it's going to, over time, disappear. The dollar's still down. It's down, US dollar, it's down, 10%? So right there, Americans have lost their purchasing power by just 10% by holding US dollar, and losing 10% relative to the rest of the world. So that's happening. It's never talked about. So that's happening as well. So the way my article was originally written, and this topic was when I started building out the trading strategies, I started looking at things like Treasury. The other one I looked at and I mentioned before was Mexican peso. The automated stuff, I think buy and hold will do better than anything automated with the Mexican peso. That's what I kind of picked up. The Treasury, there's not enough volatility in Treasury. I think it'll come to make any form of money in it. Now, from what I report, thanks to CNN, said that you guys can see the product at the bottom for what I just launched in the last week, which is basically C++ market making, ultra low latency, bot strategy, whatever you want to call it. That's where you're going to make money, is in these type of markets, market making. because the way that thing has been developed, and if you go through the code from a strategy point of view, it already knows if the markets are going to go down or not. That's the beauty of futures and options, specifically on options, because you have implied volatility that you can calculate, which is forward-looking. You can also look at open interest, which is forward-looking. Those are really the only two metrics that are pretty well accurate, unless the markets themselves are getting manipulated. So we don't know. I mean, we could say they're not. I mean, they are regulated, but with the banks and what the HFT firms do, outside that type of manipulation, it's tough to manipulate. But with implied volatility, Greek analysis, and open interest, you can figure out if things are going down or not. That could be on a couple of seconds perspective. It could be a couple hours, couple of days, or it could trend down. So with that technique, you can see if things are declining. So there's that. I think we're going to have a slow night tonight. Anyways, that is that. So from a higher level perspective, when I started playing around with these strategies and developing them, I started with the lower volume, lower liquid instruments. That can include some of the currencies. That can include, I think here, some of the agricultural product, like live cattle, lumber, and there is liquidity there, but you get a higher probability of slippage as well. So as a result, you have to trade in markets that have very good liquidity. So when you put an order in, it's quickly filled, so you don't have that slippage go against you. So that's important. So from that perspective, you're kind of stuck with certain instruments. Now, if you have any comments, questions, of course, jump in whenever you want. But when you're looking, and this is important for strategies, for what you watch and what you trade. Okay, that's why I'm doing this topic. So the most liquid I can mention are obviously NASDAQ, the S&P 500, Russell. I don't know. Oil traditionally has a lot of liquidity in it, but because of the low volume right now, lack of, I think manufacturing, it's not, I mean, the volume's still there, but it's not as fast. The other good ones are obviously gold, silver, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. I think those are, and some of the currencies like Japan, yen, and Europe, euro as well. Those are probably your best things to trade based upon volume and liquidity. Everything else, if it's agriculture, with the odd exception on corn or maybe soybean, everything else is not hard to trade, but it's hard to build strategies off of because of the lower volumes. So the ones I mentioned already are your best ones to trade and only trade. So let's say DXY, maybe Ethereum is better than Bitcoin right now, because as I said before, the demand is for stable coins right now, not so much on the Bitcoin. So Ethereum seems to have the better liquidity right now. And how do I know all that? All you have to do, and I think I mentioned this before, is if you go to bar chart or go on a Google search or whatever you use, just put in bar chart most active futures, and it'll bring up the current in real time list of what's being traded based upon volume. So you have Treasury is going to be up there. You're going to have NASDAQ, S&P, gold, silver, and now Ethereum is a top one as well. So that's good. And that's all on the CME, okay? So it will give you the amount that's traded. And if you have things like Canadian dollar or Swiss franc or even, I don't know, like XRP or Solana, any of those will be, let's say, X, and the big ones will be times 10, usually, or at least 5 times. So because of that, those are the ones you have to focus on. And it also depends upon your account size as well if you're trading futures and options. So if you are, as I said, in my case, 1,500 US in your account, you're pretty well going to be stuck on pretty well one future, maybe one option. If you have 5,000 US, you can maybe do two. And then I did another comparison with 70,000, and you can go up to maybe four contracts. So that's the difference right there. Is two things: is your account size and what you can trade because of margin requirement. This is for futures and options, and the other thing is liquidity and volume are really what's going to determine what you could trade effectively. So if you are at 1,500, even at 5,000, you're pretty well going to be stuck on micros. And if you are, let's say, 25,000 futures, you could probably open it up to more minis, okay? And then depending upon, again, your account size, maybe at 50,000, you could start moving into the full-size contract as well with no real concern of not having enough for things like your margin requirement. So that matters, your account size, what's liquid at the time, and the time that you trade. So if you went on futures market right now, there's not much to trade based upon volume, but if you waited 9 to 5 business hours for Chicago time, there's lots to trade, and you'll see the volumes there at that time. So that's all I could say about what you trade in the futures and markets based upon your account size, based upon if it's liquid and has high volume to it. So those are the things that matter. So as a result, I am going to keep my number of instruments small that I trade. Originally, I was going to hope to trade bigger instruments that are moving better, but with a small account, you can't really effectively trade it unless you got a big account. That's what I'm seeing. So that's kind of like what kind of delays my eventual live trading. As I said, if you got comments or questions, let me know. But right now, I was ready to go to trade, but as you know, with my what I call a client server model, so I have the server edition that will handle all the Rhythmic data and handle all the communication or message bus between each client strategy. So each client in a traditional client server model or pattern or pub sub, publisher subscriber, each client will be its own strategy. And that's getting currently worked on. It's a lot bigger than I thought. And that's what's kind of tying me up, because trying to get this thing to be bulletproof for live trading with all the communication that's going on between Rhythmic and all the different clients, it's a lot more complicated than originally thought. And I'm kind of wondering if the AI can really handle it, even, and this is including Claude AI as well, if it can handle it or not properly, because it is, out of all the things I've generated via code, it's easily the most complicated. It's gonna, but once I get there, I think all the communication in the server will not change a lot. The only thing that'll change will be the client coding for each strategy for each instrument. So each strategy I want to develop, I just use a prior one that works, clone it, and then just transform the trading logic, like the quantitative stuff, into it, and then let the AI generate it that way. So there'll be little development on the server code, because that really won't change. Because, you know, the way I'm implementing it right now, it's going to include both the low-level bid and ask type of trading and just futures trading, and then there's the option trading as well. So that's it. I'm done. Yay. Okay. If you guys got questions or comments, let me know. Yeah. Thanks for listening to me blab. If you missed it, just watch the bottom. Now, as far as I know, Mr. CNN, my beta tester, thanks to him, has verified a new product I launched last week on a new website called hftcode.com. Now, that website, I could pretty well sell things digital on it, meaning software, which I got the first product on. I'm not sure if I'll do a lot more of them, but that's for educational purposes. And the reason I put that up there is so people can see how trading, like high frequency trading systems are designed, architected, and implemented. That one has C++, low latency code on bid and ask. It's the ultra lowest you can get. It also includes a lot of quantitative techniques, including 2 models. One for can't remember the name, but it's in the description if you want to see it. Just click it. And then out of that, there's also PDFs associated with it. There's 2 other analysis on Bitcoin at the time that data was generated. And it also includes the data itself, like on hourly. It also has tick data and minute data as well. So it gives you a different analysis for each type of time frame. And out of that, it kind of goes through one PDF. It has like a equivalent of a quant research paper, and that shows you all the different HFT type of strategies quantitatively that you could use. There's about 8. So there's that. Now, the market making one that I purposely chose is not any of them. So that is not an optimal way to trade right now with Bitcoin the way it is. The market making is the most popular for high frequency trading, so that's why I chose it. So in there you'll get the code for a typical Streamlit app of all the different types of strategies. It includes backtesting, it includes the forward test for each of those strategies, quantitative strategies that you should mention, and you can clearly see which ones perform the best and which ones don't. So out of that, it just shows you the exact workflow that I'm now using and have been using for quite a while to show you that particular model, whatever it is at that time, for whatever time frame as well. And then I also included something different, a JavaScript implementation of it as well. But that's more technical analysis, I guess, because that's how AI does it with JavaScript. Don't ask me why. But with Streamlit and Python, it gives you something totally different. It's the same prompt, different results. One for JavaScript, which is more technical analysis, and that's just the way it is. Same model, same prompt, and then I just deploy it to a Streamlit Python app, and you get something totally different. All this quantitative stuff. So there's 2 implementations of that. One JavaScript, one Python, and then I purposely chose a C++ one to showcase the modeling that would be very typical of a HFT shop with ultra latency. And when you go through the PDF for that, the code walkthrough or code breakdown, I also did another one that is probably more convenient to look at, which is an HTML version, no different than if you tried to use PowerPoint, the slide deck, and it shows the code snippet, the algorithm, all on the one same slide. And I've got a whole video on that as well. So it's about 2 hours of videos, some good code in there. The C++, I mean, it's a steal in my mind. So that's up and running now live. And thanks to, as I said, from CNN, he has verified it works in this stream. So you'll be seeing all that in all my live streams. So that's something I put up, and I take pride in that. So that's where it's at. If you got questions, comments, let me know. That's what I'm here for. I don't want to be talking all the time and taking up all the oxygen in this stream. Last stream was very good. All the streams have been very good. Last week was very engaging, a lot of intelligent questions. So far, so good on the entertainment side, if you know what I mean, and we're good. So said, if you guys got questions or comments, let me know. I will say that I could be working on the client server stuff, and I will say right now it looks pretty. As I said to somebody, Mr. CNN knows, because I've added a lot of color to it. It's built on Windows only. And the reason it's only built on Windows because it's Rhythmic. It has to log into and connect into the Rhythmic Trader software, which is Windows only for us plebs, and that's the Rhythmic Pro, Rhythmic Trader Pro, or the Rhythmic Trader. So there's that. So that's kind of to get through it. I've been working on this is the longest working project yet because of the multi-threading, and it's all C++, all AI generated. It's kind of complicated coding, and the unfortunate problem is I can't share it because of the Rhythmic API coding. Oh no! I thought I was getting excited there. It's asking me to put a sticker up. It's asking YouTube's asking me to put up a sticker if you guys like cereal, a type of soup. This is what they're trying to do. Is they're trying to build the engagement out of you. So if you got questions or comments, let me know. That's what I'm here for. I don't want to say I'll even take the comedians because they're kind of useless at this point. Yeah, so there's that. So as I'm waiting for comments or questions or whatever you want to type up, let me know. Yeah, so as it stands right now, this new thing that I'm working on, I'm hoping will be the last iteration of this client server. As I said, it's C++. I'd love to be able to put it on Linux. I am now officially, for a while, working in VS Code. Blimey, for me to say that. I've been anti-VS Code for many years. And thanks to AI and the intelligence of Claude, the latest, it helps me build and navigate. It shows me how to navigate VS Code, which I've never been able to do before because I just didn't like the style of that editor. But now I'm getting used to it. So call me, I don't know, oxymoron, whatever, to be actually saying, VS Code's not so bad. And then on top of that, you get all these fork versions of VS Code trying to be faster and better. You got anti-gravity and cursor and all that. I think a lot of people stay on VS Code because that's what they're used to. So that's how it is now. I'd love to be able to go on a Linux. No, I can't do it. I tried it. I cannot get... I'm sure I could build something where if I'm using the WSL, that I could have a local... set of strategies and then connect into a host version on the Windows to connect into Rhythmic Trader Pro. I don't want to do that because it's too cumbersome. Just to develop something in Linux doesn't make sense. So I keep it in Windows and Windows only for now. And I spent a good couple of days learning about the package manager with Microsoft for C++, and I will tell you, I do not like it. It's called MSV. Was it MSVPCKG or VSPCKG. Yeah, but that's what it's called, and it's a real pain in the ass to work with because you have to download it and then you have to put it on your system and have the system on your system path, and then you have to run it, and each one that you want to have as a requirement as a library for your C++. Not a fan. It's not as intelligent as some other build tool chains that I've seen, namely the CMake and whatnot. But anyways, that's Microsoft's solution. Other than that, you get used to it. You go, it's not so bad once you get used to it. So yeah, that's all new to me with C++, but I am getting more experience with it. As I said, if you guys got comments or questions, this is not a good topic, I guess, that I put up tonight. More people are probably into the tech, not into the into the trading aspect of it on the what do you call it, the money management of trading. I thought I'd bring in a different crowd, but what can I do? YouTube handles how the stream gets distributed on YouTube. So I guess I have to stick with the technical stuff from here on out on these streams. But yeah, so there's that. If you guys got questions or comments, let me know. I mean, it's only half an hour. I'm hoping that in the next 5 minutes that there'll be more people coming in. I was told by officially on YouTube, they said you have to wait for a full half hour on the stream for the stream to fully distribute on YouTube. And then you start to see more activity after half an hour. So I'll wait, see how it goes. If there's no further engagement after that, then this will be a really short stream. But I think the next stream will be interesting once I get past this client server stuff with the multi-threading. I'll be able to talk about more about it as well. Third person, yay. As I said, if you got comments, questions, let me know. We're all here to learn. I learned quite a bit last week from people. That's why I do these. Yeah, I find this is a valuable way to present. I could live stream this. Okay, JDI. Hey, JDI, what's going on? Do I trade FX? I can, but it depends when you define as FX. Now, if you're talking retail Forex, that's an answer to no with something like MetaTrader. But do I trade the equivalent of currencies in the futures market? I could. Again, as I said earlier about volume and liquidity, the only two that you can really trade effectively is Japanese yen and euro right now with what I'm trading. I think there's going to be some interesting activity with the Japanese yen, with the Bank of Japan raising interest again. That might kill off the carry trade. That's been keeping everything afloat for the last 10 plus years. Once that breaks, then all hell breaks loose in the markets. That's kind of what's keeping everything together. So if that breaks, then yeah, it will unleash a whole new unpredictable volatility. Hello, Rishi. How are you? Hello, new to market. Any advice for beginners? Rishi, that's the most common thing. Everybody's asking, how do I get in there for beginners? I'm probably going to build out a frequently asked question section on my website. I do know I have something there already. Just go to my quantlabsnet.com. You should be able to see FAQ at the top. That's where I'm going to refer everybody to. But to answer your question, it's like asking how do you build a house, right? It's not an easy answer in a stream like this. I'm part of a WhatsApp group with a lot of active traders, real quant researchers, and we've had so far 2 people ask the same thing, and yeah, whale back, I guess. But the response was pretty comical. People said read books. People said follow the people you think are valuable. In my case, just go to my website, quantlabsnet.com. You have to start from somewhere, but I don't know what you're trading, but I'll give you an easy answer here. Let's assume you don't have a lot of money. You want to put in $100. You have 2 options. You can either do retail Forex or you can do crypto. Okay, so again, I'm going to assume you're not very strong at programming. Now, you can trade on trading platforms like MetaTrader or Quant Tower or MotorWave. So you're going to be, let's say you go to the MotorWave or NinjaTrader, you're going to be using either C# or Java with the platform's software development kit. That can get pretty hairy. So you can go that route and reverse engineer all the code that you have access to and understanding all the technical indicators that come with the platforms. That's one way. Another way is to do the same thing with MetaTrader or TradingView. TradingView is quite good because you can do a lot of free stuff with it. There's a lot of open source code on TradingView, but both MetaTrader and PineScript has open source stuff, so that's kind of, and it's proprietary languages as well. That's why I'd rather have people learn C# or Java, or preferably Python, and then you can just generate your own coding with APIs as your next step. I would recommend. That's the only thing I can recommend from a high level. JD, how much do you plan to trade with once you have everything set up? Well, it depends. Obviously, if I'm profitable, I have the financial means to put quite a bit in, 50, 100K if I need to, if I want to. Let's say if I wait out till the end of the year and if I had a good year this year with my main portfolio, that's professionally managed, I'd probably put 50K at risk at the end of this year, a year from now, if all goes well, minimum, and all my workflow and profit and all that proves itself with the futures and options. I might even do it sooner. I'd have to kind of talk to my portfolio manager to see what they say from a compliance point of view, because that's important. That's why I use them, because they're professional portfolio managers. I'm kind of like the junior compared to them. So I could do it if I wanted to. Right now, I'm probably going to start with, I'm at 1,500. Once I get a little more sophisticated with it, I'll probably bump it up to 5,000. Then that opens me up to E-minis. Once I go from there and success, still profitable, I'd probably bump it up to 20 to 25K US. And then that might put me into the realm where I can probably do some cheaper margin, like cheaper full contracts. Things that I'd be looking at would be maybe Ethereum, maybe some silver for sure, if it continues to perform, because those margin requirements are not as high as gold or Bitcoin. Bitcoin's insane. Or Russell, if it performs, Russell 2000. So those are my options I've been looking at. Mexican peso is another one I'm interested in. Australian dollar's doing well now. So those like full contracts I'd consider if I had a bigger account at 25K and everything's all going good. Right now, I'm probably going to obviously focus on the micros. The ones that came out of the analysis I did was MES. If the S&P still does okay and it's profitable, continues with that. The other one is going to be probably silver, because look at how silver works. Maybe I can do Ethereum as well, micro for Ethereum, because Ethereum's it's projected Ethereum could do okay this year compared to Bitcoin. Hope that answers your question. If Rishi or JDI, if you got more questions, let me know. I'm here to answer whatever. But let me know if I've answered your questions on the advice for beginners, Rishi, because that's not as easy as you think to answer. Do you tend to track your trading costs, commissions? Yes, that will come out of my report from my FCM. That's a hard one to kind of track. On the other hand, the way to track it properly is to use software journaling, trading journaling software like TradeMetria or TraderSync. They're third-party software that you can plug into on your account. But the problem is I'm with Rhythmic, so it's not automatically synchronized as if it was with one of the big retail crypto exchanges like Coinbase or Kraken, or even interactive brokers, because those have where you can automatically synchronize with your broker or exchange. But because I'm on Rhythmic, I can only upload the data, which kind of sucks, but you can still, it immensely helps on all your tracking of your data as you trade it, because you can export it out of your Rhythmic Trader Pro software. Or the other way, obviously, is do the old-fashioned way with the provider of your FCM. Those reports are pretty, archaic, no different than if you're with interactive brokers or even any other traditional broker exchange. But there are ways to properly track it. If you're crypto, one I really loved was cointracking.info for crypto, and they had all the commissions, all that tracked automatically for you. It was awesome. But I don't know. Anybody out there got questions or comments? Let me know. Let me also offer you some articles that I've been seeing. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with a crypto coin called Cosmos, which is also Tezos. I think it was XTZ was a symbol. That was a pretty hot coin a number of years ago when Bitcoin was hot and crypto was hot. Now they're saying that coin could die off because there's not enough activity on it. And the other thing is, remember when NFTs were hot? There was a big conference in Paris on NFTs. That got canceled because there's not enough activity in NFTs. So what's happening now, and I kind of predicted it, is that crypto, at least the altcoins are dying off. The volumes are dying off. You have a three-way competition right now on the crypto, namely with Bitcoin and Ethereum on volume. One of the articles I had last week mentioned that Binance probably has about 30% of global volume when it comes to crypto exchange, like crypto futures volume. Most of the trading volumes is going to be in crypto. Hello, 8-bit 510. If you got a question or comment, let me know. So if you go to, what's it called? What's it? Coinmarketcap.com. And you look at, for every dollar that's traded in the spot market in crypto, about $2 to $3 are traded in the quote unquote derivatives market, which is our futures and options. So out of that, the global demand for futures and options and crypto, 30% of that Binance has, and then the other two big players is CME and Coinbase. Because Coinbase is very, very big now because they have two exchanges, one called Coinbase Derivatives, and they also have the big one that we, the retail, kind of don't have access to, called Coinbase Prime. And that's where all the institutional volume goes. So when you get BlackRock, and all the big asset managers with their ETFs, they're trading on Coinbase Prime. So we, the retail, don't have access to that. So those are the three big future markets worldwide for crypto. And I'll repeat them: CME, Coinbase, pretty well, and all of their different exchanges, and Binance. Now the thing is, with Coinbase, they said that they're gonna like merge everything together. There was an announcement on that, so I don't know how that will play out, because with Coinbase you got Deribit, you have Prime, you have the derivative exchange, and then on top of that you have the spot exchange that they run. So you have 4 exchanges all within Coinbase. And Coinbase also is the guardian for a lot of the big ETFs like BlackRock. So when they park their money, that's going to be held within, the guardianship will be held by Coinbase. And I believe, I think it's Fidelity is the other big one for crypto guardianship for the institutions. So my point here is that those are the big players, and it's now fully manipulated, okay, owned and manipulated. If you guys got questions or comments about any of this, trading, automation, whatever, let me know. High frequency trading, whatever, I'll gladly answer it. But the way it is with crypto overall, what appears to be happening is the spot market, I think, is slowly dying, and it's all in futures and options. Because I'm not seeing as much activity with the Bitcoin bros and Bitcoin. I think, I'm not going to make this as a prediction, but I think in the long run, Bitcoin's become become more irrelevant, less relevant, meaning less important. And I say that because, and I've said this before, the stable coins, the big ones like the Tether and USDC from Circle, are sucking the demand for big coins like Bitcoin. So because of the stable coins and the economies like the US government now, and all like the Euro Union, China, all the big governments are now transitioning from the old money system, like fiat, and moving it into stable coins. So the government and the big player that's going to influence that is the US, because they have all these acts now, one called Genius and another one called Clarity. And what they're going to do, it's not trying to do, they will win this, is that they will move all of the all of the US dollar activity onto stable coins. And they're going to tokenize. And that's where all the demand is going to be. So Bitcoin and all the altcoins are going to lose volume over time and be less important in the whole crypto ecosystem. And I've already mentioned one already. Tezos is already dropping off, and NFT as well is kind of dying. So that's where things are going. So as the importance of stablecoins grows, and the governments are now trying to move into that financial system. What that means is US, all the fiat currencies are going to die off. On top of that, they have Robinhood and other, I think it was NASDAQ. They've announced they're going to start tokenizing all the stocks, and they're going to be on some blockchain, namely, and it's all going to be tokenized digitally and virtually, because everything's going to go 24/7 for stock market trading because of this, and all that. So if you got comments, questions on this or anything else related, let me know. So far as I know, there's a blockchain that most people have never heard of, that a lot of the institutions are adopting, called Cantor Fitzgerald. It's an institutional blockchain, and there's a lot of mention of it, and it's like retail traders won't know about it. But from what I'm hearing, Cantor Fitzgerald maintains this private institutional blockchain. And I'm thinking all of the institutional activity for this tokenization and whatever else will move towards this private blockchain. And will have nothing to do with what we know of the traditional Bitcoin blockchain. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm seeing. And it's going to be that way, or it's going to be something run and maintained by something like Coinbase, like the way Coinbase Prime is working. Because the thing is, when BlackRock is moving, buying crypto, namely Bitcoin or Ethereum, all of it's done through Ethereum. Apparently you can watch it, and BlackRock will trade on their wallets that they have on Prime, and they're buying and selling in $200 million to $1 billion each time. It's not like us, like the mom and pops that, a couple thousand here and a couple thousand there. These are like hundreds of millions of dollars, and that's what I'm seeing in the last month or so. Namely BlackRock, because they're the ones that move this stuff. And obviously that affects the retail blockchain as well in Bitcoin, namely. So there's that. If you got questions or comments on what I'm saying, as I said, on the topic or trading or automated trading, let me know. So there's that. Now, as I said, I put up an article today on the positions on what's moving. I think right now with gold, silver is moving. That's where the liquidity's proving to move towards, and it's already happening. That proves that there is a new money system underway that's being implemented. It could be the ones that I'm mentioning. There's also XRP I've not mentioned. Again, I don't know the future of XRP or Ripple. Some say that would be the new CBDC blockchain. I don't know, for some countries, but I just seeing this Cantor Fitzgerald more and more. So there's that. Now, when it comes to what else is moving, like top tier, are the privacy coins. There's Monero, Dash, and Zcash are all moving. Monero just hit its all-time high. They're saying it could hit $700. That will be the new real digital gold that nobody knows about. And if you hold it, you're a criminal, I guess. But that's moving, and obviously there's reasons why, because it's not traceable. Is Zcash going to have a future? I don't know, because a bunch of developers left and they started their own wallet for Zcash. So I don't know. How do you think 24/7 will impact liquidity? I think it will. It depends. That's a very good question, JDI. Obviously, it's not going to have any impact on the people in North America that trade it, or in the time zone of Chicago and New York. That I don't think that will get impacted, but it'd be very beneficial for people living in Europe and Asia, because they have to trade at nighttime to synchronize with New York and Chicago time. So if they're able to then say, okay, we know it's 24/7, liquidity will widen quite a bit, and the volumes will maintain beyond the Chicago, New York business hours. So let's say right now, Hong Kong, China, Singapore, Japan, if they're able to trade U.S. assets like the U.S. market, U.S. stock market, That's going to be very, very, very good for the stock market in the U.S., I think, because you'll be able to sustain, hopefully, the same level of volume that you get during Chicago and New York time. And then that will be very good. So people can move around the world and trade and not be impacted because they can't trade within the Chicago time 9 to 5 or, same with New York. So if they enable that overnight, our time, like East Coast time, yeah, it'd be very good because then the liquidity, I think, and the volumes will go up at night, our time, New York time, let's say, and then the volumes will continue to go up and be sustainable, and then that's going to be very, very beneficial for the overnight Asian crowd and European, I think, and Australia, New Zealand. So that to me is a very, very good thing. And then it's going to be 24/7, and I don't see any negative thing out of it unless you're a human trader. And then that enables you to keep positions open as well overnight without needing to worry about risk if you're willing to do that. So to me, it's a good thing. Because when I look at crypto 24/7, you could be trading on weekends if you wanted, overnight if you wanted. I don't see any negative out of that. Now, people in the horse and buggy people are used to 9 to 5 New York and Chicago time. They'll complain about it, but it's just something that they're going to have to get used to because everyone wants to trade U.S. assets, U.S. stock market, and mostly U.S. stock market. But it may also raise Asian markets as well, in their stock market and European markets as well. But pretty well everyone wants to trade the U.S. markets. I mean, obviously it's number one in the world for that. But surprisingly, a lot of people don't know the stock market, the country with the highest stock market activity is not the U.S., it's India, like by a margin. So if they can open it up, like same with Chicago, or like with China, mainland China, their markets, it'll be really good, I think. And yeah, it enables people, as I said, that want to travel, like me, over the long run and trade anytime I want. I see no reason why it shouldn't be that way. But I don't know if that will help you out. But it'll increase volatility a lot because then you're enabling the Asian liquidity come into the U.S. markets overnight. And you can see that right now. If you go to bar chart and, again, do most actively traded as a search, you'll see what's being traded right now. And it's usually Treasury. I think gold may be traded because the overnight markets for futures and options is open in the CME. But it drastically drops overnight. But when you wait it out until Chicago hours, 9 to 5 business hours, or New York, those volumes like go up a lot by times 10. So, and then it totally changes the trading game as well. So there's that. If you guys got questions or comments, let me know. JD, I appreciate your questions. I don't know if Rishi's still out there or 8-bit 510 still out there, but by all means, if you guys got questions, let me know. Yeah, so I've kind of talked about where I'm at with these trading client server nonstop stuff. Everything's done now in C++. Unfortunately, I hate to say on Windows because it's rhythmic, but that's how it is. Also, JDI, Mr. Ass, CNN, I believe. Thanks for coming out. I mean, I appreciate you being here as well. So we're up to 49 minutes. So if you guys got questions or comments, let me know. Just as a reminder, I like doing this, but I only stay on when the questions are out there and the interest is out there, because I could kind of like be working on my new trading system I'm working on now. I don't know when you joined JDI, but I just wanted to mention that the C++ stuff is getting very complicated now. The client just broke through, or sorry, the server edition in C++ just broke through 3,000 lines, which is quite a bit to maintain for the AI. It's hard to keep up with the maintenance on this thing, to upgrade it. And the client one I'm using right now, which is Silver, is just over 2,000 lines. So these things are becoming like a beast. And that's not helping on the maintenance as well. I would also like to mention that I'm hoping to see the new DeepSeek come out, new DeepSeek 4. I've seen some Prelude videos on it, and they're promising it will be much better than Claude 4.5. They say they'll outperform the latest from Gemini and all of them. That's what they're saying. Now, this could be one of those moments where DeepSeek could be looked upon as a leader again, and it may change around this whole notion of needing data centers, because I don't know which model provider said, but if they're able to enable the model to get uploaded to a phone device or a computer device where you can generate all your AI and prompting from that local LLM, why do you need a data center? And that's what's going to change everything. All these hundreds, like probably trillions of dollars being spent on these data centers. If that comes where you're able to take an LLM and upload it locally to a phone or to a computer, do you really need a data center? You know what I mean? So there's that. I'm hoping that Meta acquiring Manus will make their pricing cheaper. I think it will. And in fact, I think when I heard that Meta bought Manus, I was like, oh my God, this is the best purchase they've ever made. This is the best thing for Meta. I played with Manus, and believe me, Manus is beyond amazing. That was probably 6-7 months ago. For them to do what they did was brilliant, and I hope that they do make that edition free, because that's killer. Like, it will put Meta easily into the front line, and if they keep allowing it to be improved. But here's the problem. The CCP, or the mainland China, are now investigating Manus, so that purchase may not actually continue. That may not be finalized. Because what happens with what they did was the developers or the owners, whatever, that started Manus was developed and maintained in mainland China. Then they based themselves out of Singapore, which I guess would be in the eyes of the mainland Chinese and the CCP or the overlords over there. So that's a big no-no. So that purchase may not happen. Okay, but let's assume it does. It will put Meta at the forefront on the AI game for sure, because Manus is so powerful. Okay, there's that. But the new DeepSeek is going to be something exciting. But here's what I don't like what's happening. Although the Grok and that notion of all the, I don't know what you want to call it. I don't want to get myself penalized here, but the latest news on that Grok event that got the UK government to investigate Grok and what happened, I don't think that's going to be very good for US AI as an industry. Once they put in regulation into AI, US will be second at best. I say that, and I can prove that, because under President Biden, everything was was just biased against people that used AI, okay, with all the censorship. So that bias was built into the AI. And the only reason and how it changed, I remember OpenAI and ChatGPT were the innovators and the global leader at that time back in February, a year ago. So there's all this bias there in this AI. And then once DeepSeek came out in February, that rocked the whole landscape of AI, and it was open source, and even moved the markets down for a couple of days, for a couple of percent. It showed that the Chinese were in it with open source, which changed the whole game on how the US approached their AI. So within a week, Altman, CEO of OpenAI, said, we will now lift all bias from their OpenAI ChatGPT models in order to stay competitive with DeepSeek and China. So now, with all this new regulatory safety and all this, that's going to bring back all of the bias into the US AI. So all the big players, the now Metas, the Googles, the Anthropics, OpenAI are going to be somewhat controlled. Okay, so in terms of what they put out as output from prompts. So we're going to go back to bias of some form. Meanwhile, the Chinese will probably, they will have their own form of regulation, no questions asked. But think of it like this. If you look at TikTok, this is not a conspiracy with TikTok. There's the Chinese version of TikTok, and then there's a Western version of TikTok. So in TikTok for China, all the stuff that you see on TikTok, all the social identity stuff, all the political, that doesn't exist in the Chinese version of TikTok, okay? But it exists easily in the version for the West. And China's happy with that, okay? So they're going to do the same thing when it comes to their AI. And from what I read with DeepSeek, it's used in all the countries out there that are being sanctioned by the US. So they most likely won't have a lot of bias in the Western versions of their, let's say, DeepSeek. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of control or censorship in the Chinese version, yes. But the Western version of DeepSeek will not have that. So what happens? You have an industry, US specifically, that's censoring their AI output and less innovation because they have to keep worrying about safety guardrails. And then versus the Chinese version of the AI that they target the Western markets for that are not regulated, that don't have any form of bias, where's the crowd going to move to? They're going to move to the Chinese AI. And again, that's okay from the CCP Chinese perspective, because the Western market's now going to their products, not the Western AI. So that's what's going to happen. So what's the next step thanks for the like. What's the next step that's going to happen? The Western government's going to start saying, no, you don't have access to the Chinese AI, okay? They're going to put a block on that, without a doubt. And another reason to why I say that, look at it this way. If you have BYD, a car manufacturer that a year ago was able to produce half of the world's capacity of all car production globally, that's how much scale BYD has. The only two countries right now globally that BYD are not allowed to be in is the US and Canada. Why? Because they know, the governments know of Canada and the US know that if BYD is allowed into North America, it will kill off all production for US car manufacturing. It'll kill off Ford, kill off Chrysler, but we know it's Chrysler and GM. Thanks for the likes. It will kill them off. And so the US and Canada somewhat has to protect their industry. And Europe's trying to do that as well. But slowly and slowly, look at the state of German car manufacturers. Mercedes and really look at VW, of the state of VW and how they just closed their first factory in Germany. Okay, and this is a heavily subsidized and heavily unionized company in Germany. But they went ahead and closed one of the car manufacturers in Germany. So when you figure that out from a major industry like car manufacturing and the Chinese brands like BYD and the other big ones could easily decimate the Western industries. So when it comes back to the AI, they could do the same thing. And the only way they can protect the Western governments, specifically US and whoever else, will then over time ban Chinese AI, most likely, to compete. So what I'm saying is they can't compete, and they will not be able to compete once they have that regulation put upon them, because they have to act operate in these safety guardrails. Yeah, exactly. As Noble says, hello, Noble. Noble's 3927. Yes, BYD outsold Tesla in the UK last year. Not just that, Tesla has manufacturing in Berlin, Shanghai, obviously in the States and Mexico. Okay, so Tesla was the number one global electric vehicle provider in the world. Okay, BYD 2 weeks ago just became number one in the EV market globally. So Tesla's now second, no longer number one. So it's what I'm saying about BYD, not just about the UK only. And I was just in the UK late 2024, and everywhere I looked, there was MG. MG was everywhere, and that's a Chinese brand now. It's owned by one of the Chinese manufacturers. So that's China with a British brand that is getting some significant market share, I would think, in Britain. I haven't been there in a year and a bit, so I don't know where it's at. But if BYD is up there as well, that's another Chinese manufacturer. And let alone, when you look at Jaguar and Land Rover, they're not owned by British anymore. It's been, for years, been owned by Indian as well. So there's that. So that, what am I pointing towards is the future, that when you have Western governments, namely the US, putting regulation and keeping the innovation of AI really constrained with these safety guardrails, while the Chinese, the CCP, most likely won't do that for their AI. I just think that a lot of the market will move towards the Chinese market, or the Chinese AI. And as I said, we don't know with this new DeepSeek 4 what it'll do. I've heard it before where Tesla said we're number one. Or sorry, Grok would be the best AI. I heard that from Musk before, and I'll outdo everything. Nowhere close when I tested it. That's why I don't use Grok as much as compared to Claude. It's right now. But I just want to mention that. If you guys got any opinions on it, let me know. Comment away. Outside, if you got trading, investing, technology when it comes to trading, chime in. That's why I'm all over the map on these topics, because I think one other thing I'm not mentioning about the Chinese AI is if I put out a really sophisticated prompt on Claude, and I know it's going to be top-notch, at least from the coding perspective, it's going to be the top-notch quality of output for coding, for content, whatever. And it's excellent. But if the DeepSeek 4 lives up to its promise, it's now a new threat to American AI. I mean, I hate saying that. I'm just being truthful. But the thing is, with something like DeepSeek, I can probably get, at the cost, 1/10 of the quality, potentially, with DeepSeek or any of the other Chinese LLMs versus the American models or LLMs or AI, because they're more expensive. They're I don't know, technically they just consume more energy, more computer utilization, but the Chinese AI is like 1/10 from what I'm seeing on average. So it's very efficient compared to OpenAI or any of the others. And that's including, I don't know if you guys play with the new Minimax, or GLM is another one. And they're pretty good. And there's Quen as well. And, you know, they're all good versions of Chinese LLMs. Let me talk about with the VS Code. If you guys got questions, let me know. Comments, let me know. I'd like to hear from you. I'd like to make this engaging. I'm only going off of topics in my brain and memory of the last week. So as I said, I've been using VS Code quite a bit lately. So thanks to, well, you know, he's well known to me. I just call him the Pepster. We'll call him. He knows who he is. So over the year or so, he's been going on VS Code. I've worked with AI tools within Visual Studio and the JetBrains product. I kind of liked what I saw with Windsurf, which is now from Cognizant, which got taken over by OpenAI, and then there's some Google takeover there too. I'm very confused on that. Anyways, So I used another one called Rue Code or Rue Code AI. Wow, that's really good. So there's two ways to run it. When I did it last week, you can run it through a cloud. And the only free one that was available through the cloud was Minimax. I did a lot of processing with that sucker. But then I quickly learned with Rue, whatever's free is not free. You still have to pay your $10 a month, which is kind of nothing. So you can do that, which was really good. I mean, I was really shocked on what I was able to do as a young as called the vibe coding. But you still got to know software architecture. You still got to know debugging, blah, 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 blah. You're not going to go very far if you know nothing about coding and trying to do this vibe coding thing. But anyways, with the Rue code, using this Minimax model, I was like, wow, you can do a lot with this. And I thought, how are real coders going to keep up with this? And I just don't know. And then I switched it over, still using Rue code. Another option to get access to it is using this thing called Open Router. And then with the Open Router, you get a whole nother slew of models to choose from. So there you could use GLM. I think Quen, you could still use it. But there's still some models you can play with on the Open Router and some of the Chinese ones. But the only ones up to date that you have access to is the Chinese ones. As I mentioned, Minimax is kind of new, but it's kind of getting up there, and the like. So I don't know. It's pretty interesting with this Rue code and using something like VS Code. Well, and, I think it was last week or the week before, somebody mentioned about the anti-gravity from Google as a new IDE, and that's a VS fork. So I looked at it. I don't want to pay $20 for an IDE that's going to be kind of tied to one model, like AI provider, namely Google or Gemini. And I know there's another one. Cursor's another one where you got to pay your 20 whatever bucks. I'm not into that either. So if I was to pay, I'd probably give money to Windsurf or Rue. That's it. If I had to, but I'm not there yet. But I do like the ability to do all your AI within the IDE like VS Code, because I've never done that significantly like I've been doing it for the last 2 weeks. So there's there on VS Code and something like Rue as well. If you guys got any other further topics or you want to add on, pile on, let me know. And trading as well. Oh, Newable, good question about Perplexity. Perplexity, I don't think is very good in the traditional sense that you'd use like a Claude for specifically for coding. But I do think Perplexity is a real threat to Google search. I use both the Perplexity AI app, which is quite good, but then I kind of can easily get addicted to it on the app, on the Comet browser. I think it's awesome. And that if you keep going that way, you never need to go back to Google search. Because with Google search, there's a lot of bias. I think there's obviously bias in Perplexity as well, but the point is that with Perplexity, how it's kind of like a built-in AI, kind of like a chat GPT, and it does search engine stuff as well. I think that's very, very useful. You're losing my sound. Can you hear me okay? Blah, 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 blah. Testing 1, 2. Can you hear me okay? I don't know what's happening here. Noble. No sound. What happened? No sound. Can you hear me? Blah, blah. Okay, so I'm no. Thank you, Mr. CNN ASS. I appreciate that. Okay, so yeah, Perplexity I do like. I think it can be a threat. I think it can be a real threat to Google, Perplexity search or Comet. I think Google's very aware of what's going on with the new threats they have with the OpenAI. No problem, but I'll go blabbing on about Perplexity and the threats to Google. Google has a unique position. It's called YouTube. No, there's going to be no real threat to YouTube. Google search, yes, with Perplexity, and obviously Gemini. Personally, it's falling behind like against Anthropic Claude, and it could lose ground against the Chinese AI as well. But with Apple now teaming up to use Siri with Google, that could be a saving grace. Also, I don't know if you've heard about the CES, the Consumer Electronics Show last week, and how I think the number one thing that came out of that was the news that General Dynamics, their Atlas humanoid robot, is now being fully deployed with Hyundai, a car plant. I think that's very significant, especially for the U.S. markets. Thank you, 8-Bit. Yeah, so I think, Google teaming up and having the Gemini embedded into the Atlas will be a big deal. And obviously there's Waymo as well. So Google's still going to be relevant, but it's going to radically be potential new threats on the search front for Google with Perplexity. I do think that the AI, Gemini, is losing ground. Depends what you want to do. But on the coding front, Claude still by number one. I think over time, the Chinese LLMs are really changing the game in terms of efficiency and in terms of cost. I mean, really, there's no cost if you're using open source model. And the other thing is they're getting really good now. They have been good for a while. Just on the code generation part, the Chinese are still not quite there. But Claude, man, I'm telling you, Claude and Anthropic are doing a really good job on that front. But again, let's see what DeepSeek 4's got. You guys got questions or comments as well? So what, hour and a bit? That's pretty good. Like I said, if you guys got questions or comments, let me know. A lot of what happens is with this type of stream now, it will get fed into my shorts, and it gets blasted all over my social media. I'm still trying to figure out if I should live stream off my desktop and be able to get access to more of my desktop and do interesting things on my desktop instead of you having to deal with my ugly mug me and just the talking head here. I've just been experimenting with it just to see the potential reach, how YouTube responds if it just to computer screens versus full face action. So yeah, I don't know, but I'll try a stream maybe on my computer, and at the same time I can live stream to X and Meta, like Instagram and TikTok, I think, which could open up the audiences as well. I don't know, we'll see. But I still like my zooming. I do like my zooming. Who's got questions or comments? Let me know. So I've mentioned Rue and VS Code, coding development with AI within an IDE. I mentioned that. That's the latest big development. The other development is still underway with the client-server thing, with the C++. And yeah, once I get that and then just be able to clone my client code for new instruments or new strategies, it's going to be the way to go, because the server will have everything there. It will be the only component that will talk to Rhythmic, do all the orders from Rhythmic. At the same time, it has to handle all the message bus connections into the client code of all the different strategies as well. So I have to keep those numbers down on what I trade. Well, my count size forces that. But probably no more than 2 strategies live, 3 at the most. And if I even got up to $70,000 US, then I'd be looking at no more than 4 instruments. Just depends upon what performs at the time. But as I said earlier, if everything goes down, you can still hopefully trade gold or silver. You could still trade some of the big crypto, namely Bitcoin and Ethereum, if that performs. And then lately, the stock market indices are still doing okay, not great, but they're hanging in there. And then on top of that, you still got currencies and agriculture product as well. That's why I love that diversity with futures and options. So from what I'm seeing, from the back testing, the automated back testing, yeah, I mean, there's always a strategy that does it very well. The only exception, as I said earlier, is the Mexican peso. If you traded it, if you just held it, buy and hold, you'd probably be better off than using any form of automation. That was up till last week. So there's always those exceptions. But majority do well. Like I said, I know it's working now thanks to our the Prepster's verified it for me. So big thanks to him. That if you're interested, check out that C++ market making bot at the bottom. That is the best educational piece of content I can think of to give you an insight of how the high frequency trading shops work through an actual market making strategy in Bitcoin. Not the best performing, but it goes through everything, PDFs and videos, and check it out at hft.code.com. That's my new domain now. I just launched it just over a week ago. So let me mention that as well. The only thing, it's taking PayPal for now. I'm planning to add on regular credit card as well. Noble asks, how accurate is DeepSeek information when using it? I'm using it for a startup in oil and gas and Bitcoin mining. See, the thing is with DeepSeek, there's many versions of it. You can get DeepSeek for math. You can get DeepSeek for all kinds of things. So DeepSeek generally, I think, quality output I'm finding still lacking. For trading, I don't touch it at all. For analytics, if you're going to use any model for trading analytics, it's hard to say which one's the best, because I think over time, many models won't do it anymore because of regulatory, or they just because of that safety regulation that I mentioned, the guardrails. But currently, it's hard to say which one's the best. I think Gemini's probably would give you the best insight because they're using Google resources. That might be the best one for trading and trying to guess the markets. But you have to be very, very specific in your prompting. You can't just generally say, give me the best performing stocks, because Gemini won't perform. But if you ask Gemini, what are the potential targets of this current price with Bitcoin, I think you'd be surprised at some of the insight you'll get from Gemini. Claude's very good at that as well, the later versions. OpenAI, I think, is still pretty good, but I will say from the quality output I'm seeing, it is falling behind. But as for DeepSeek, currently it's fallen behind. But the new DeepSeek 4, I'm pretty sure will put it ahead of its game, for sure, based upon what I'm hoping to see with DeepSeek. Because I want to see DeepSeek succeed, because if it's true open source or free at least, or very cheap, I'm definitely going to be jumping all over that DeepSeek. Because the DeepSeek 2, when it came out last year in February, that was so innovative, but that lasted a couple of months. But the LLMs and the AI models are so competitive now. DeepSeek's going to be hanging in there for a while, the leader, I hope. But I can guarantee you Anthropic will respond to it, because they know that's a real threat. So they will probably come out with something really good to probably keep ahead of DeepSeek. And that's from a technical coding point of view, I think. And then I do think the other one that will be having to keep up will be Gemini, the Google. But OpenAI, I don't know. They keep saying things, but they just are not as good as they claim. And the other one to watch is what, as I said earlier, with what JDI mentioned, is the purchase Meta and Manus. Because I think Manus is a very, very, very good LLM. And that's also including a lot of the AI agent capability as well. I mean, it's really built for AI agent. One thing I should say about Perplexity, which I forgot to mention with the Comet, the AI agent, I've never really used it at all, because I'll just prompt and I get the answer, right? Whereas with an agent or set of agents. In my case, if I want to book a trip, and I tell Perplexity through Comet, say, hey, Comet, I'm traveling. And I did this, and I was shocked at how good it was. I said, hey, Comet, I want to travel to this city, this city, this city, and this city. What's the best routing, and when's the best time to go? And it gave me everything you want to know. And I was shocked at how good it was. It recommended the best time to go, gave me the best routing to save money. And I was like, wow, that's really good. So Perplexity is amazing for that, and so is Manus. The other thing I liked about Manus 6 months ago is as I asked Manus, I said, I think it was Noble asked, or somebody asked about how do I get into trading? Like a very generic, high-level question. If you said to Manus saying, hey, Manus, give me a trading bot in Python that will trade crypto, and that's all you asked it to do, I think you'd be pretty shocked at what it can generate via AI agents. I tried that, and I was just blown away on what it could do. Like, I'm not going to lie. So Manus is something to watch. And again, Meta, that's the best thing Meta can do, had done for anything it's done with AI, to be honest. And I think that will be something to watch for as well. Yeah, so there's that. The next big forefront will be quantum. Quantum, I put up on my Substack, and I think I put on my X as well, because I had an AI response saying, here's a strategy. I don't know if it was Bitcoin or not, but it did say to maintain a direct market access, high-frequency trading system model, blah, blah, blah. It could cost as high as $85,000. And one of the biggest costs was this quantum annealing from D-Wave, $10,000 a month. So it's not public, but the AI told me, there's an API of some kind that will plug you into the quantum computing from D-Wave, but very expensive at $10,000 a month. And I do believe IBM's got one as well, because I've seen that as well. So I'm sure a lot of the banks, hedge funds use it on direct market access in Aurora via CME. I'm pretty sure of it. And that's part of their real edge that they have over traditional AI, because it's AI plus the quantum computing power through these specific data feeds or APIs through D-Wave or IBM. And I can only say that because I saw that in the results of my query prompting with, I think, Claude or one of them, that said, yes, there are these APIs, the quantum annealing it's called, from D-Wave. If you want to see that, go to my Substack and go in my notes at the Quant Labs Substack account. You just roll back maybe no more than 5. You'll see the cost. It says $85,000, $10,000 a month is this quantum annealing from D-Wave fee, $10,000 a month. And I'm sure they treat it as well, where you need to sign up for a year's worth term as well. No problem, Noble. I know I rant on a lot until the next question comes up. If you got another question, let me know, or a comment or whatever. I had one of these nasty comments is brutal. It's so brutal. I just deleted it, and I was waiting to hear back from this troll. It was beyond nasty. I mean, I've seen nasty stuff, but this is garbage. You're useless. Blah blah blah. One of those kind of comments, and it's like, look, if it was so bad for him, he should start up his own. He has a YouTube channel, but make your own video on it, and then you can say whatever you want in your channel. But I don't really want to put that kind of comments on my YouTube. But like, I'm getting probably 10, maybe 20 comments of positive, and then you get this troll. And we haven't had a troll tonight yet. They're going to come in the next minute because now I've inspired them. I'm really surprised tonight's troll free. Last week and 2 weeks ago was just it was nasty. Thanks for the laughing. I don't feel alone here. Talking to a computer. But it's nasty. But yeah, like what these people do is they try to rile you up and have an argument with you online via comments or my response video, blah, blah, blah. First of all, I do think YouTube will punish your channel over it. But on the other hand, they may, depending upon how it is, they may allow it because that brings in more engagement and more people. So in a way, it can, I'm not saying it will, but it could make your channel a lot more popular. When you look at Coding Messiah, what he did to go after some bigwig channel, like Pirate Software or whatever it was, and he blew up his channel into the hundreds of thousands of viewers. Now he's blown up. I don't know if I could do that type of tactic to blow up a YouTube channel. I've been doing mine for a very long time and only got, what, 13,000 people, and there's other people growing like crazy. But that's why you gotta like and subscribe and share all my content, which I never mentioned. That's why I'm still tiny. That's okay. Somebody asked me about that last week and said, "Well, it's for marketing purposes." I guess that shut them up pretty fast. Like I said, if you guys got comments or questions, let me know. I guess I'm being a comedian today. But yeah, let me know if you like the product that I'm hawking at the bottom. I mean, I always say we got to keep the lights on, right? and over time, you get tired of eating cat food. But the live trading, that's the ultimate to get to. I think there's a lot of potential there. I've been saying that for a long time, but I'm pretty close now. And without AI, I wouldn't be able to get it to the so-called high-frequency trading aspect, but I do think that there's lots of opportunity there. As I said, I'm just trying to be like a mom-and-pop little person and trying to help people get access to the same type of capability to be able to do true high-frequency trading on something like Rhythmic. And if you do well over a certain amount, like Ferrari money account, you could probably get into direct market access. But once you get your Ferrari level account size, and I'm strongly hinting here how big of an account size you need to get into this specific API from Rhythmic, it's going to cost you the cost of a very nice 911 or an entry level Ferrari, Lamborghini. That's how much money you need in an account to get access to the Rhythmic Diamond API, and then that gives you access to the CME. But you better have a really, really amazing strategy, okay? Because you will lose money fast. And just build it up, get a strategy that works real good, and can scale it, and just be basically a money printing machine. And they're out there for sure. And I've seen some of the results of my AI where some of the strategies came back and said, again, using real world data, one was high as 97% win ratio. Another one was 66%, which is like unheard of. And again, that's feeding it live data. Your confidence kind of goes up. The thing is with that product that I mentioned at the bottom there that you can get with that C+ market making, one of the target, look at like the HTML presentation, it gives you its goals. The two goals, what it's trying to do with the market making strategy is to give you a 55% win ratio, and it's also trying to give you a 1.8 Sharpe ratio, and also its goal is 55% win ratio, Sharpe ratio 1.8, which is very good. Give you a higher profit. What do they call it? Profit factor 1.5, and it claims with the C++ that it can handle anywhere from 1 million transactions per second or 2 million transactions per second. That's how good the AI generated this thing in market making with C++. Pretty well with ultra low latency with the built-in quant mathematical stuff. That again is in that product that got listed somewhere on here. That's pointed at hftcode.com. Like that's unheard of. And I've never seen that kind of promise from an AI before. And it's been properly coded up for that. And that's using Claude. And Claude 4.5 Opus is like on fire now. Everybody's waking up to how it's revolutionizing the software industry. That's what it was built with, and I believe yes, that those targets will be met if you traded that using that market making thing and just added on the plumbing for your orders and live data. But the core of the model, that's what it's for, and you get a source code as well. And I don't know if you've seen all the attention over the last week. I've never seen it like this before for Claude 4.5 Opus. And they're saying, oh, it's going to revolutionize everything in software engineering. Oh, we're cooked as software engineers, blah, blah, blah. People are really waking up to what this thing can do in terms of the quality code. In fact, let me say this. I did see this story. Maybe you saw it as well. Let me know if you saw this. Give me a yes, okay? There was a Google engineer or a Google engineering team. What they said with Claude, what they developed, or what Claude developed in 1 hour, would have taken the Google engineer or Google engineering team 1 year to develop. Okay, that's how advanced Claude is, and that's coming from Google, if you've seen that story or not. But that's how revolutionary Claude 4.5 is, Opus. A watershed moment in software engineering, as they call it. And it can only get better from there. And the Claude, I've been using Claude 4.5 now since a couple of months now, way before everyone discovered it. And it's been very good. I mean, just look at my videos of the dashboards and some of the low-level models. I would not be here bragging, well, I shouldn't say bragging, but talking about so far the advancement I've had with the AI from Claude 4.5 Opus. It's not revolutionary. And I don't work for them, obviously, but it is that good. And anyone in the tech space should at least try out a month of it. And it'll be like crack cocaine. You not go back. It's that good. But I think with hopefully DeepSeek 4, if it's at that level, and it's, let's say, 1/10 of the cost to run, or to run, yes, that will be a big deal, and it will be a threat not just to Anthropic Claude, but it'll be a huge threat to the whole Western AI space. If we'll see what happens, but I'm interested to see it. As I said, that DeepSeek 4 should drop in the next few weeks. Yeah, so if you guys have got any other questions or comments, I think we're just over an hour and a half. My voice is going to go at some point. I don't know why, but yeah, I can already hear the hoarseness of my voice. Yeah, so let me know if you got questions or comments. If not, I can end it now. I have no problem with that. I can go back to my AI stuff and work on that client server. As I said, hello, Noble, again. How are you? Good to know. I appreciate you acknowledging keeping everything alive here. If you got any questions, better, or a comment, stroking my ego is fine. Like Trump, like Trump, how he's naming battleships after himself and Trump coin, and that's all in good humor, my people. Anyways, so yeah, so let me talk more about this client server thing. I initially was using one of the Chinese models. I think it was built with, as I said, the open router. No, first it was Open Router Cloud with the Minimax. Then I ran out of free tokens there. So me being the cheap miser that I can be, well, I'm not cheap miser, but in that realm, with Open Router, or sorry, not just Open Router, but with RU code as well. I purposes being a cheap miser there. So I managed to get Open Router and one of the Chinese models right. So I was able to complete this client server with it within VS Code. And I purposely said, screw it, I'm going to use now Redis, not Valkey. Got it working, got it all kind of running. And for me, it's all about getting everything into a runnable state. So now everything's in a runnable state. So the next big challenge is get it actually working. So that's the hard part that I'm doing now, and especially because it's heavily multi-threaded with all these mutexes and stuff, and I don't know what's blocked what. And I'm going to be honest, this is where just generally AI is going to fail because it's just beyond the beyond on what even Claude 4.5 can't handle. Maybe DeepSeek 4 can do it if it comes when it comes out. I don't know. But I will say I'm struggling on that front, maintaining two fronts because like the server has to talk to Rhythmic, and it's going to have to use all the different client requests, multiple of them. With that, it's also going to work with the market data. It's also going to send out the orders. So this thing's heavily multitask. On top of it, it's got to use Redis with the message queuing for the client. For the publisher pub sub pattern with each client for each strategy, and that's what I got to work on. And getting it into a state like that and get it working. So that's a struggle. And AI, it's tough to maintain that. And originally I had a third component in there that does risk management to keep everything in line with the overall strategy. So now I have to build a third one, most likely in Python, as a web front. And then if something goes out of whack, it will shut down either a strategy dynamically or be an overall kill switch for the entire system, because that will be an eventual request or a minimum standard that you need to build in if I was to take this and do direct market access. So building this is very, very challenging with the multi-threading. And I think the AI's met its challenges with the multi-threading. When you're building something that's very sequential, fine. Or something that's built in with Python or JavaScript, where there is like a typical web server handling multiple requests. I think Claude or any of the other advanced AI can handle that. But when it's done in C++, it's a different matter, because I'm starting to see pointers now in the code. So it's going down a very dark rabbit hole in C++, trying to maintain all this stuff. I don't know. I can go on about it. Anyways, got questions, let me know. As I said, maybe that might be the next topic about it, multi-threading. But the thing is, as you code more, specifically being really dependent like a drug addict, dependent upon it to get something done, it's not a smart way to code, but I think at some point I will have to stop everything once I'm happy with it, it's stable, and reverse engineer everything. I'm referring to the code itself, and more specifically the quant modeling, especially the math piece, because that's very taxing. But the AI can do that, but the low level multi-threading in C++, I have to say, I think Claude 4.5 Opus has met its match with these prompts, but thankfully I've got quite a bit of budget left until next week when it renews, and keep hacking at it, because this is going to consume a lot of that AI budget, a lot, and I want to be able to reallocate it to another, like if it's going to be OpenRouter, root code itself, and just do the AI development within an IDE, because doing it the way I'm doing it, it's hard, but at the same time, if you're going the OpenRouter way with root code, OpenRouter, you're not getting a tenth of the LLMs that I have access to. I'm actually using some of the older models, because also what I'm seeing is a lot of the newer models, they lose quality of output because of, I think, bias is built in. Also the same as well on the technical front too. So some, it's hard to explain it. It's like Claude 4.5 is highly advanced and nothing else beats it. But certain other models that have been good, specifically OpenAI, as it's trying to become more sophisticated in code generation, the way I prompt it, it's very advanced. It can't do, the latest model cannot do anything. Whereas if I used a same version 2 prior, thank you, Farts McGee. I like that name. That's pretty cool. Anyways, but coming back to what I was saying, the sometimes you may have to go back to older models to Farts McGee. When crypto had its bad day, I'd always remember Fartcoin was like, Fartcoin will save the day. And it did for a while. Anyway, some of the advanced AI, yeah, when they bring out another one, it gets watered down somehow, especially OpenAI and Grok as well. Oh, one thing about Grok, I will say that looks very interesting is they're going to have something called Grok Build. I don't know if that's out yet or what's happening with that, but that looks pretty cool. Because it's something dedicated to probably something IDE-like or CLI-like. But yeah, they're going to call it Grok Build. So who knows? I haven't seen that before in any of the other model provider or LM providers. But the advanced stuff outside of Claude, I just think it's not going to be able to do it. And I'm putting a lot of reliance on DeepSeek 4 that it can do exactly what I want it to do. But the way I do it, a lot of the IDEs don't give me the models that I want. I have access to hundreds of them, hundreds of models. There's a pile from Amazon. There's a pile from ByteDance. People don't even know about these new models that some of the bigger tech companies have. Yeah, I know ByteDance has a bunch. That's specifically for TikTok, but Amazon's trying kind of hard to get in the game. I know Microsoft has some early models coming out, trying to keep up. We're trying to kind of get back in the game. We've talked about Meta as well, so it's going to be interesting. But I think part of the problem is when you're kind of trying to do code development, you can be held back with certain models that you don't have access to. And that can be a problem because that's why I do copy and coding it back into an IDE or doing what real men use using VI. That's a code I've come up with. Real men use VI. And if you don't know what VI is, well, that's the problem. And you're still a little boy if you're using VIM. Real men use VI. Okay, remember that. But look what VI is. That's going back to the 1980s. But that's how C and C, well, the time there's no C. I was just C or the assembler, and it was just VI. That's all he had. That's all within Unix, and no fancy graphical user interface stuff. That was real console coding with VI. Especially, I mentioned that because that was on a digital computer. If you know what even a digital is, that's going way back. That's Unix days. That's how far back as a fossil I go. But VI, real men use VI. Always remember that. So nobody's laughing. No one's responding to that for some reason. That's funny. Must have a lot of youngins on this stream. maybe the Pepster knows what I'm referring to. But yeah, so there are some models that they're trying. Specifically, let's say like Amazon, I can't remember the other big names that do have models. They're nowhere as advanced as what we're at. But one day, you never know, like they may have a breakthrough, let's say at Amazon to come out with something, or Microsoft, but we know Meta has an opportunity if that purchase with Manus comes through. I think that, and if they take it free, that's gonna change the game a lot. That's gonna be the classic race to the bottom. Manus is so good. I think that might be one of the strategies for Meta, is to take out as many providers because of the cost to run these things. But if Meta does go free with Manus, it could be lights out for a number of these, specifically OpenAI, because Manus is so good. At the time I used it, it's just unbelievable. Yeah, look up Manus and play with it. It's very expensive to run, but it's awesome. And if Meta can eat those costs, I'd be very, very tempted to use Manus. But they never know. They may put some kind of limitation on Manus and what it can do. I don't know. but nonetheless, just mentioning it as is as we speak. Anyways, like I said, I know I blab a lot. I can entertain myself here online. But if I'm here to serve you guys, so if you guys got any comments or questions, let me know. If you want me to talk about Fartcoin, look up the performance of Fartcoin. When everything else is going bad, look up Fartcoin. That was a joke. It's like Doge. Doge was a joke coin. People became millionaires because of Dogecoin. Fartcoin is the same. And then there's the programming language Brain F and ends in K. That's another interesting language to look at if you want to have your mind bent. Just look up that language, Brain F CK. Okay. So if you got any questions or comments, let me know. I'd be honored to be answering any of your comments or questions. If not, I'll do a closeout because I would like to get back to my my server and client coding with the AI to get that finished, because that's going to be, I think, the final piece of all this new trading system I'm going to hopefully come up with for, in my little world, high frequency trading in C++. And then to port it over to Linux shouldn't be a big deal because it's just changing over the tool chain from the Microsoft ones like the VS, PK, whatever, to something much better than CMake and some of the better Linux ones out there. I don't know. I'm just working off of the. Yeah, I'm no expert in tool chain development. And I gotta say, if you know what I'm talking about, the CMake text, the CMake list file, mine currently is over 600 lines. It's gotten that sophisticated. Like, seriously. I've heard people have full-time jobs back in the day building out C make files. I mean, it's sophisticated what CMake can do. Will you be doing the YouTube lives more from Nobles? I've been doing them frequently at the same time. For last week, or not last week, let's say last month, Tuesdays, 7:00. That's what I've been doing it. And if more people get my what at the bottom and purchase that, or at least look at it, that'll encourage me to do more of these live streams, maybe twice a day, or not twice a day, maybe twice a week. People seem to like this format a lot, so I'll continue it. But it is kind of taxing on me. I don't mind doing it. I love doing it, but yeah, I have to see some kind of, I hate to say it, reward at my end for it. It's one thing I just can't live off of likes and comments. That's all I can say on these streams. So people have to kind of like engage, or at least when I'm putting out there on the offer on that little store thing, yeah, that'll help and encourage me to do it. I just don't like pitching. Like if I just mention it, people are going to go, oh, well, he's just hawking his tinker, all his trinkets and stuff, and they just hate you on for that. Sorry, I gotta live like everybody else. Yeah, so I'll be doing more live streams for sure. Hopefully you enjoy these. I can be a funny person, but I'm at the same time upfront and honest as well. Anybody else got any questions? Is Farts McGee still out there? That's pretty awesome. Farts McGee. What in your eyes is the simplest program to create these predictive models you build your channel? My channel? You mean like my content for my channel, like text and images? Or are we talking coding? I'll assume coding. Simplest program? I would only, for anything code, like vibe coding, code generation, I just only use Claude. Yeah, okay, Claude. Claude 4.5 Opus. It's that advanced. I would, if you can, and just use it right now. Right this now. This could change when DeepSeek 4 comes out. But right now, who rules the roost is definitely Claude 4.5 Opus. Just go online and just type in Claude 4.5 Opus, and you'll see the amount of people raving about this thing. And as I said, a lot of people are calling it the watershed moment in coding, and it is. It's been like that for the last few months. It's super advanced. You can ask for stuff and it'll give you extra stuff that you never thought of. But it depends upon the language you want. So for simple, and I don't know if you're like a coder, stick with either JavaScript or Python. I think the best two languages for Claude 4.5 is definitely JavaScript and Python. So it has more data to work from. So you're going to get better quality answers. In my case, because C++ is not so wide, it still does pretty good. That's why I'm challenged on the C++ side. But for simple, I don't know what I'm doing, coding thing, yeah, Claude 4.5, and be willing to spend the money at $50 a month. That will be the best $50 a month you can have for you, Mr. Farts McGee. I'll give you, that's the best YouTube handle yet. Farts McGee 6006. That's an awesome one. Coding, yes. I'll hopefully answer that question for you. I know there's a lot of beginner. No problem, Farts McGee. Thank you for giving me the highlight of the night for humor. Noble's been pretty good too. You know, just so you know, guys, I can rank who are my top fans based upon this stream. I could give away things, you know. So the more engagement you get, because I see certain people, top 3, let's say, if they're still here, I can give away things. So I can start doing that. I'm just trying to think of what to give. Maybe I could put in let's see. I have to verify you because there'll be a lot of people going, I'm Farts McGee. No, I'm Farts McGee. No, he's Farts McGee. No, I'm Farts McGee. You know, I have to battle to get their free little trinket. Maybe it could be an exclusive PDF of some kind and only available to the winners engaging on the stream. That'd be something that'd be interesting to do. I should do that. Anyways, if you guys got any further comments or questions, last week was 2 hours. As I said, I do these now for 2 to 3 hours each stream. Just to let you know, I've been accepted now, and I'm not supposed to say this, but I've been accepted into the next phase of the business provider that we're on. And that's going to open up new doors. So they're accepting me because apparently I'm a potential viral channel, right? We'll see what happens, but it has grown quite a bit on the view count front, which I'm pretty happy with. So I'll be learning more stuff from it, and it's for the next month. So there's going to be more shopping stuff, more potentially member stuff. They're really trying to add revenue to so-called the creators on this business that we're all right now on. So I've been accepted into their boot camp on the next phase for the next month. So we'll see. Yeah, so I'm excited on that one too. All this stuff, that's what inspired me to do the live streaming every week, the way I'm doing it. And it's great. Last week, I mean, the numbers was pretty good. 175 people came through, even though they're on for like 3 minutes. You know, all these kind of people all they're doing really is chasing that. Like they're randomly going through their desk scrolling, randomly watching for a minute, maybe 10 seconds, and they're on to their next shiny toy. That's fine, but it's like crack. It's like modern day crack cocaine. To me, it's not productive. I'm not going to tell people what to do. But if you're going to do something and make money, you have to take action. You have to choose one thing and one thing only and take action on it. Because I think it's very important. You can sit on the sidelines and watch the world go by, and there's going to be a bunch of people complaining and whining, wow, not me, I'm left behind. That's where you got to take action. You got to choose one thing and act on it. Like, it could be my stuff, I don't know. Doesn't matter. But there's a lot of garbage out there where you spend money and people get burnt and yeah, and then they become super, super skeptical. And like 10 years ago, this is much easier. Well, even 15 years ago, it was much easier to get involved with this. But now there's everybody and their dog that think they're an algo trader. Then you get all these meta trader, Forex, we'll just say people, trying to be nice here, that claim to be HFT experts. They wouldn't even know how to turn on a computer. I don't even think they even know what real men code with. Just go back to the Unix days. So that's what I'm saying. So you choose. Oh, I'm live again. I'm reconnected. Can you hear me okay? Let me know if you can hear me. But I think it's important that you can sit around. You can sit around and watch the world go by and complain. Okay, thank you, Mr. Fritz McGee. I appreciate it. I saw my reconnection thing. I think YouTube was trying to tell me to shut up. Awesome. Yeah. So I know we're still early in the year. I think the number one New Year's resolution I could suggest is get in the gym, lose weight, like me. Cut out your chocolate, cut out your cheese, like me, and beer, and focus, take an action on something that can help you build wealth and be able to preserve it as well. That's another important thing. I think coding, algo trading, AI is there to help you. It's not your enemy. It's there to help you. So, yeah, but the key is got to know how to implement, take action, and actually do it. I know it's kind of hard to ask, but think of it this way. Here's the funny thing. My viewer count's all of a sudden going up. Yeah, so I'll keep talking about the same thing. This is all motivational speaker guests. Maybe that's a way to build an audience. Okay, let me put it this way. If you really want to build wealth and sustain it, because we are going to have something radical coming. I've already mentioned in the beginning. The liquidity in Bitcoin, I think, is over the last week is dried up, and it could continue, or it's heavily manipulated. So the Bitcoin bros are back in their jobs at McDonald's. So what we got to do now is figure out where can we make money and sustain it and preserve it. As Warren Buffett said, the number one goal in trading is to preserve it, to preserve your capital. Number two is to profit. And number three is repeat rule number one and rule number one and rule number two. So even Warren Buffett, who's considered the number one investor in the world, okay, it's not about making profit. It's about retaining what you have and not losing money. So in order to do that, what you got to do is figure out, what you're trading and actually doing it. But Bitcoin and crypto, I don't know if it's going to be continual. If the world goes bad and the world burns up and explodes, people think we're still going to have gold and silver. I do think if you look at what happened in the 30s, where the U.S. government said, sorry, you can't have your gold. You got to hand it back to us. So what happens then? You don't have gold to trade. So where do you go from there? So now you don't have gold. Now you don't have crypto. And I've talked about taking action. I think that's where we have to figure out where can we create wealth and retain wealth. AI has changed everything. It's your friend. Okay, it's not your enemy. It's not taking your career. It's not taking your job. It's just a new opportunity put in front of you. So if you know how to harness it properly, I think the AI and trading things like futures and options, the way I look at things right now, futures and derivatives market generally is the number one type of trading on the planet. If you just factor in only Forex or currencies, you're looking at 4 trillion a day. Okay, so that's not going anywhere. Also, crypto has a potential. Hopefully, it'll be something. Maybe crypto or Bitcoin. It may be something else. I don't know. Gold, hopefully, will still be there, and obviously everything else. But even if all that's taken away, you still have currencies and you still have agricultural product. As an example, if we have inflation, you can still recoup what you lose through inflation by trading things when they go up in cost. So if you know soybean, wheat, corn, and the like is going up in price, you can trade that and you can profit off that. So you can circumvent what you lose with inflation. Also, if you're in the US, all last year in 2025, everyone thinks that, if you listen to Trump, President Taco, he's going on about, I've done great things for you, which is not true. If you held on to only US dollar this time last year compared to now, and you hold on to US dollar, you've already lost 10% of your purchasing power against the world because you've lost 10% value with your US dollar. So that's not a good thing to work from. So you have to look at other currencies that will help maintain your wealth and preserve it and actually grow it. So there's other currencies as well that could do it. Or you just put money into a trade like a USD Japanese yen, USD Turkish lira, which is kind of risky. But if there are other currencies outperforming US, euro sometimes, something else, so do that as well. But you have to be on top of it. And you can automate it as well. So that's why I like futures and options. Now, if you really want to make money, options is a place to go. And when you start using with AI and starting to get, if you have a strategy that can give you with that Bitcoin market making thing that you can buy right now, it targets 55% win ratio. That's pretty good. So Farts McGee asks, with the value of the dollar versus the world, would you suggest arbitrage or investing in separate markets? Well, the world's already given you that answer. That answer is by investing gold and silver. That's why it's spiking so much. If you look at the thumbnail here, you go, oh, 146% or whatever it is on the thumbnail. That is all because that's how much silver has traded in 2025. That's why the precious metals have spiked and gold continues to spike as well. Because any currency, anything you buy has something called a counterparty risk, which means you buy, somebody else loses, okay, or vice versa. If you buy gold, there's no counterparty risk, right? So that's why gold is spiking like mad. Same with silver, because there's no counterparty risk. So that's what you use for your hedging, and that's how you preserve wealth. Now you can buy it and hold it, fine, but then they'll say you have paper money and gold. My answer to that is, everyone says, well, hold on to physical gold and you'll be fine. You have to factor in a few things there. It costs you to insure it, it costs you to store it, and you also have to worry, depending upon the amount, how much you're storing, will it get stolen? So there's still risk to you there. Then they go on about Bitcoin. Well, with Bitcoin, you have to have the internet on to use it. Okay, that's fine. But with Starlink and the like of solar power to keep you connected to the internet, that kind of argument may kind of be thrown out. Because I know if you have a cell phone and a little solar power generator to charge your battery for the phone, you can always have the internet as long as you have access to Starlink. So that's something that people don't never consider. And then you can start and maintain trading Bitcoin. But something I did not mention throughout this whole stream is like things to hold and what to hold, and is Bitcoin worth holding? Every single AI that I've tested it with, every single portfolio manager I listen to, they all say the same thing: don't have Bitcoin in your portfolio because it's too volatile. There's times to have Bitcoin in your portfolio, but that's only when it breaks out. And in the last year, it's not sustainable anymore. That buy the dip doesn't work anymore. And as I said, the reason for that is because of stablecoins, U.S. stablecoins namely. And it's sucking all the demand of Bitcoin into stablecoin. I mentioned that a few times now. So the future of Bitcoin on its own as being the quote-unquote digital gold is to be questioned. But that's why, one of the other reasons why I built that market-making Bitcoin C++ thing, because in the model, there's about 3 models in it, but generally what happens is, because you're watching option chain data for Bitcoin in CME, there's mathematical techniques that you can use to see and predict if Bitcoin, the price, will go down and truly go down, not based upon some event, not based upon some hunch that you read on some crypto website. So that model or set of models and strategy with the market making can truly help you watch Bitcoin with market making. That's why I built it, and you can get it. And that's why I built that. And that demonstrates that. And you can do that also with Ethereum as well. I think it'd be the same thing. That's the only real way I see you can trade it, where you have a dedicated, not account, but a set of money that you provide the strategy. If you go with the automation and trade it and only trade Bitcoin or Ethereum with market making, especially now in today's condition. That's why it's flat. It's been flat for a week now. And one of the reasons, as I said earlier, is because that liquidity has dried up. So the only thing left, the way to trade, is by mean reverting and market making. If you want to actually trade either Ethereum or Bitcoin. So I don't know. Okay, so I still haven't answered Fart McGee's question. Dollars dropping. Okay, so do you arbitrage or invest in separate markets? So I've already answered. Right now, it's proven that you invest in other markets with specifically gold and silver. That's why it's performing. Now, with arbitrage, obviously there's an opportunity there as the dollar drops. You can short that and then long something like gold and silver. That's a classic trade. I know people are doing the same thing with Bitcoin and gold. One thing I see the best co-integrator relationship with Bitcoin that I've seen in the past, everyone seems to think it's like with NASDAQ. No. If you look at the pattern of Bitcoin against the US dollar, you'll quickly realize there's like a relationship there. But that's up until the last few months. And it's breaking down because there's a huge dark cloud hanging over not just the US economy, but also the global economy. And that's something called national debt. That's why the US dollar is dropping because of inflation. And it's dropping also because, well, they just want to spend it like drunken sailors with a credit card. There's no responsibility anymore when it comes to this deficit and national debt. I personally have opinions on that, which I'm not going to allude to here on YouTube. So that's why gold is spiking, and traditionally Bitcoin would spike as well. But Bitcoin is now somewhat manipulated by the large asset managers, as I said, like with BlackRock or all the others that are involved with it. So there's that. Can you arbitrage? Yes. With dollar, as I said, gold's right now a good one. It's a classic, buy long, sell short, or however you want to do it in classic arbitrage principles. And that's a gimme there. But always remember that we are in dangerous times, I guess, from an economy standpoint. Look at what has happened to the Fed, where I guess the current president wants to investigate the Federal Reserve. That's his personal beef with and his belief with the Federal Reserve. Now, again, my opinions on it, and I think it's a crock to investigate the Federal Reserve because it does take away their independence. Now, has the Federal Reserve been responsible in what they're supposed to do? If you look at Janet Yellen, which kind of like got me going, was when inflation started to kick in back in 2024. And they just said, oh, it's just transitory. Don't worry about it, transitory. And that went on for about a year. And the inflation went up kind of officially up to 2%, up to 9%, which are killing off a lot of people and a lot of businesses, all because of the incompetent Fed chair at the time. And I think that's what got President Taco all riled up. And he built up a personal vendetta against the Fed. Now he's president, so he's now going to do this investigation, which will go nowhere, of course. But all in all, it just kills off the credibility of the U.S. government and the U.S. economy, U.S. dollar, and that's why it's dropping. And that's why gold spikes, because not a lot of people have that confidence, so they look elsewhere. And obviously, that's going to be right now in gold, silver, and the like. So there's that. So I don't know, but we do have to worry about preserving wealth. And as I said, Bitcoin is not obviously has proven not to be the case. Right now, as I said, the only place to trade, or the way to trade, is market making. If you can do it through like a Binance exchange, there's other venues to trade, but there's just not going to be enough volume liquidity, which was the original topic of this stream. So again, that's what it comes down to, is the money management perspective and what you trade, how you trade, and that obviously impacts your automated trading as well. So it's all kind of like circular, I guess. And that's just how it is with the way things are right now. Right now, I think, as I said, the best things to trade right now, based upon liquidity, still somewhat the U.S. market indices, the S&P, and maybe NASDAQ. Dow Jones has been performing quite well, actually, compared to the other ones. That's because they have more of the conservative stocks in there. They don't have a lot. They're not tech heavy, so they may perform, and that's because of two market sectors that are doing and will do well is defense defense contractors or military companies, if you want to call them that, and energy. So the oil providers, look at Venezuela as an example. So those are the two sectors that will do kind of well in 2026 and beyond. And that's one of the reasons why I think Dow Jones is doing okay from a stock market index point of view. And again, that can be traded again on the futures and options market via the CME. The other areas that look to be of interest, obviously gold, silver. I think Bitcoin will have spikes that'll do very well. What else is there? I think, like I said, with Ethereum versus Bitcoin, I think Ethereum will outperform Bitcoin because of the stable coins are built on Ethereum blockchain. So that's why I say Ethereum might be better. You just look up during working hours out of Chicago, New York, at the most actively traded on the futures and options. You can see that on barchart.com, and you'll see that more Ethereum is traded than Bitcoin. So that says something right there that you will get more performance with Ethereum. So that's another area that has potential. I mean, on the other hand, I've already mentioned Monero. Private coins are like hitting all-time highs now because it's not traceable, but we'll see with that. And again, you can see that on my Substack as well. Just go to Substack and look up Quant Labs or Quant Labs Net. You'll see my account there in the latest article on that, where the liquidity is moving to. But obviously, you can't trade that in the futures and options market. The other areas that look of interest that I've not mentioned a lot of, if you want to make really good money, and if the markets do decline or even go flat, or let President talk all this stuff and all this craziness, the one that will move a lot, VIX, VIX, on the futures and options, that will move amazingly. I just saw it a few days ago up 4%, which nobody's talking about because of the volatility. So if the volatility spikes, that's where you want to be, in the VIX, and the VIX options and the VIX markets, because that, very nice for when things go bad, really bad. That's where you want to be. So again, that's one of the reasons why you want to be in futures and options. And if you're trading options in VIX and things do go bad, that will be your number one thing to trade in. Even if the good old government says, nope, can't have your gold, can't have your silver. I don't know. I wonder if they're going to take away the VIX, right? Because VIX is going to do probably pretty good as well. So anybody got questions or comments so far? I'm blabbing more than I should be. But we'll see what shorts come up with the AI over the next few days, because the other ones are still pumping out from last week. But the 2-hour ones, 2-hour streams provide a lot of content for my YouTube shorts and the short clip media stuff. So if you guys got any questions, let me know. I don't know who's still here. Mr. Noble, Farts McGee, I think there was JDI earlier. Hopefully the Pepster's still on. He's great to have. Just looking into the past, yeah, JDI, 8-bit, Rishi at the beginning. I don't know if they're all still here. If you guys got questions, let me know. Boom, boom, boom. I can be working on that server client thing. Yeah, thank you. I do like the little pop-up, the hearts and the laughing emoticons. Try to be funny here. But over the last little bit, I've been serious about, I think VIX is where you want to go, for sure. Things go really bad. That will be your best friend if you want to build out. How do you see the market ending in 2020, like a year from now? I think we will have more talk on stablecoin for sure. I think we probably will have more tokenization on stocks or equity, ETF, and stocks will be traded 24 hours. That's probably high probability. So that'll be good for foreign markets. As I mentioned earlier, I think crypto, generally what we've known crypto like Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum, they'll be still around. All the other ones will be not gone. I don't want to say gone, but for sure less relevant. That's already been proven. I'm not sure if the crypto market will evolve as we've known in the crypto market because of stable coins. We could start to see early implementations of CBDCs, but I think the CBDC is going to be presented through a stable coin, where it's going to be most likely for the US USDC will be the coin of choice. That's already been proven with the latest acts. As for the markets, that's a tough one. I think the way they've been performing, if you did not have the traditional Mag 7, like the AI stocks, NVIDIA, Apple, Meta, Alphabet, what else was there that I'm missing? Those big ones, the markets wouldn't be as good as they are now. That's a saving grace for the States and the West, is these large, big tech players, Amazon as well, because they're the ones keeping everything afloat. And NVIDIA, that's how people are still able to retain wealth and grow wealth because of those tech stocks. Without them, I think we would be in a lot bigger, more trouble financially and economically, but they're the ones keeping everything going. So will they continue to grow? Most likely. I like, as an example, or look at a couple things. NVIDIA will still do well, all because they're now apparently moving into software for humanoid robots. I think that's going to be the next big thing. General Dynamic, what they did last week at the CES with their Atlas and Hyundai. So that's going to be a big future thing. I think also, Tesla, as an example, continue to do well. And I say that a lot of people may not like to know that, but you can't deny that he's not dumb, for sure. You know, he's got some things in the pipeline that are still pretty revolutionary. And he's got Optimus, the humanoid robot at Tesla. He's got the rig for autonomous trucks. That's another big category. That will be getting rolled out. If you're in a niche fast sports cars, you got the Roadster coming out eventually. And then not only that, but he's got SpaceX, which will do an eventual IPO. And that IPO, they're saying it could be a $750 billion IPO. As high as that. Maybe as high as $1 trillion, because that's so revolutionary as well. So those kind of sectors will do well. The ones that I post about in my news, in my quant analytics membership, those companies will do well, and they usually do well for a while. If you don't see them in that particular news source that I use, they don't do well. And I'm not seeing as much on Palantir. I'm not seeing Palantir at all. There was Rocket Lab, not seeing as much. All I'm seeing is all the crypto, Coinbase, Kraken, as stocks, and Tesla as well, Apple, and all the other big tech I mentioned. So they'll still do well. Now the traditional markets, like the small players, I don't know, outside of, I think the big growth will be in the military contractors or defense. They'll do well, very well actually. And I think energy and anything involved with rare earth is going to do well. Anything really to do with mineral will do well. That's why you're seeing the price of gold and silver go up. So in a way, is what we know will continue to do well. There'll be new ones, but there'll be a lot of other ones dropping off. So I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's what my hunch is telling me from an economic standpoint. And as I said, for crypto, all the altcoins and all that stuff, I think will kind of. I could be wrong. I could be really wrong, but I think it'll die off. I'm not seeing as much attention as with Solana. I put not a big bet on Solana, but I lost money there because I thought Solana would be huge. XRP's the next one to question, but Bitcoin and Ethereum will still be chugging along quite nice. And it's all, as I said, from the outset of this stream, it's driven by volume. If the volume still stays behind Ethereum and Bitcoin, and you can verify that during working hours, Chicago, New York, go to barchart.com and just look up their most active futures, and you'll see the volumes. And Ethereum's up there. Bitcoin's not far behind, but they're not top. So Treasury is going to do well. I've not talked about Treasury as well. Short-term Treasury is the most traded right now by volume. As I said earlier, I've looked into it, and it's kind of hard to trade it. Apparently, you can make a lot of money. I'm still trying to figure out how to do that. But I think short-term that will do well until something comes along and there's a credibility crisis within the U.S. and Treasury, then that game's off as well. And then everything's nothing but gold. So I'm hoping that'll answer your question, Mr. Fart McGee. If you got any other questions, let me know. I don't mind going 2.5 hours. Let's hope we can keep it going 2.5 hours. I'm all over the place. Economics now and Outlook. Now, all my Outlook is generated by the news. I post and scan news multiple times. I'm a news junkie when it comes to including crypto. So I'm not like one of these old fuddy-duddies, and just says no to Bitcoin. One thing I have learned the last couple of weeks being part of this private traders group, real traders, experienced ones, building out big portfolios and how they do it. They don't do it the way we do it. They do it what I'm been knowing along and I'm doing now is letting the data drive the decisions. It's not built around hunches or guesses or what I read or see on YouTube. It's built on data. And a lot of the data you get access to publicly is not very good data, unless you're willing to pay for it. But you don't need to. As I said, Rhythmic is the way to go, Rhythmic data, and the software for it. And get yourself a futures and options or futures account through a broker. I would strongly recommend that now because we don't know what's coming down the pipes on the negative side. And as I said, where do you know you can trade the real McCoy known as VIX, right? VIX, just look at VIX and you'll see those big blip moves when the market goes down. Yeah, VIX is where you want to be. And trade more of that. And if you know there's more uncertainty in the markets, yeah, VIX. VIX will be probably the easiest thing to trade that nobody talks about. For volatility. And I know that as well. They don't want you to know that because the AI don't pick that topic. But here you are knowing about it, so reap the benefits of it and see the charting on it for VIX. And the best venue to trade in is not with an ETF, it's with futures and options for sure. And if you can build a very good strategy that's highly predictable on the pattern of VIX, like if things get very bad and you can build out an option strategy with automation, I think everybody will get killed. But if you're trading VIX, you could buy a whole suite of Rolls Royces and probably buy a color of every, how many thousands of colors are there with a Rolls Royce? You could probably do that with VIX. I think VIX will be the big deal that people won't talk about. The insiders, the smart money know it, and they're jumping on that VIX. So we'll see. Who's got other questions? Comments? I know I'm up and down with questions, but Fart McGee is asking the serious questions here, man. That's good. Noble's there as well. I appreciate that, and whoever else is listening. Yeah, so I'm like I said, next topic next week. I'm hoping I could talk about more technical, low level multi-threading because I am getting into the weeds with the algorithms and the models. And you don't realize if you choose the right model, mathematical model for trading, and how much computer utilization it could save you, and things you could see on the order book, just from math. It could change your results in your trading immensely. And as I said, I got that one example with the Bitcoin on the market making that you can get. Check it out. It's all done like what insider smart money high frequency trading shops do. So you might want to check that out. I don't know. Yeah. So who's got other questions? Let me know. Let's see. I'm blabbing here, and my voice goes. Yeah, I should find out the winners. Oh, good question, Noble, about Noble A3927. That's an excellent question. What happens to oil and gold if there's a world war? Well, we all know that oil is needed for war, so that will go up. And they need to secure it as well. That's what the U.S. is all about. Why do you think he went into Venezuela? Nothing to do with drugs. We know that. Same with Iraq is another classic example. Gold will spike, no doubt about that. And I think secretly in the U.S., by a long shot, they're the highest, the biggest holder of gold in the world. They just don't brag about it. So they're good there. And China hoards it. People don't know, but the biggest producer of gold is China. People didn't know that. Most of the gold is refined in Switzerland. But it'll all spike during a war. Now, will there be a world war? I don't think there'll be a world war. Why? Because if you look at what happened between Iran and Israel, there was something called save face, right? That's a big not so much big in the West, but in Asian culture and Middle Eastern culture, everything's all about saving face. So if Israel does something, Iran has to do something as well to save face for their reputation as a government. So what they do, they'll fly off a bunch of missiles. They'll fly a bunch of missiles to Israel. Most get destroyed. Not as a big impact as you think. And then same thing with when they try to bomb the air base in Qatar for the U.S. And not a big deal. So they only do that because to save face. And then U.S. steps in and says, or they bomb, was it Natanz? So because of that, it's a good demonstration. I don't think we will have anything at that level. Another good example is Venezuela. Look at all the amount of military buildup and what they're threatening to do with the blockade of oil tankers in and out of Venezuela. That was aroused to go after their leader, and that happened. I've on my beliefs on that and certain things, and then all of a sudden Greenland became the next topic of distraction, because that's what it's about. It's distraction. Will they go in and go after Greenland? Even if they did, I think, and I've said this in a strong way, I think the credibility of the U.S. will be out the door. It'll be game over because that's going to go in the history books, and that will make a country like the U.S. not reliable, which is not a good thing, because everyone relies on the U.S. and the U.S. is pretty well the global leader in a lot of areas. So if they do that, that credibility is going to be probably gone for probably forever. I hate to say. Because in World War II, who saved the world? The U.S. So that's how the U.S. is looked upon. So hopefully they don't go into Iraq, or sorry, Greenland. I just hope that never happens. You know, we hear in Canada talk about the 51st state. Even I get riled up when I hear that because, you know, we have our own sovereign as a country in Canada. So hopefully that'll never happen as well. So to me, it's just all talk and posturing, but it does impact the markets. Now, in terms of if the markets will crash, I think they will. for maybe 20, 40%. It's already proven, again, because of gold and silver and where both those metals have, how they performed last year, they will continue. If the government comes along, U.S. government says, nope, you can't have your gold or silver anymore, that's going to be a big deal. And where else do you have to trade, right? As I said, I don't think they'll monkey around with the futures and options market at all, because there's something out there that lubricates the overall U.S. economy, and that's the futures market name and the options market. And without that, who funds the U.S. government? Who funds the Treasury? Things like that. So they're not going to monkey around with it, and they can't. It'll be game over. And they'll be going back to collecting seashells on the beach, which we all don't want to, where we don't want to go. But or selling those wooden nickels back in the day. You know what I mean? So we don't want to lose that credibility with the States, but that's why the dollar's been dropping for 10%. I'm losing people. That's okay. But I'll just say that. Yeah, so I can go on about, everyone wants to know about the technical stuff, so maybe I should keep to that. But I have opinions on the economies and where it's going and what to trade, what not to trade. But it's a good question, though. I do like those questions. Don't get me wrong. I don't think other people want to hear it, though. But so be it. Who else is out there? Anybody? Questions and answers. We're at 2.5 hours. Anybody? Okay, I'll tell you what. If you're ready, type it up right away. Even type up a letter. I know that you're still hanging in there. So do a going once. Once I hit going 3 times, yeah, we'll end it. So I'll go going once, going twice. I always say going 1.5, 2.5, going 3 times. All right. Oh, somebody's got a question. Farts McGee. Fart McGee, did you have a question? You saved the day, dude. What's your question, Farts McGee? I wish, this is why I like Zoom, because I can bring you all in the audio. Yes. Why? Type up your questions, guys. Yeah, if you got questions, let me know. I know I could talk people's ears off, but if you have questions or comments, let me know. If not, as I said, I'll be back on YouTube again, 7 o'clock next week, next Tuesday, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I've been trying to keep to that schedule. If you're not on my email list at quantlabsnet.com, get on that email list, because I send out, oh, no, well, congrats, you're number one top fan. If you're not on the website, quantlabsnet.com, I don't know. I do other stuff as well outside of YouTube. As I said as well, I've launched that new website, hft.code.com. Yeah, take a look at my Substack as well. I don't post a lot on there, but I'm just testing to see if people engage with it and if it's worth posting on Substack. But I do post on Substack, and we'll see how that goes with that new article. Yeah, but please check it out. And as well, if you want, you can get on my email list at the hftcode.com as well. That's a new one for the C++ ultra low latency market maker and Bitcoin. If that's your thing, we'll leave it at that. Anybody else got any questions or comments? I'll do it going once, twice. Oh, sorry, Farts McGee, I almost missed that. What data is most important to look at in terms of investing? Quarterly earnings? None of the above. That's equity, what you're referring to. And when you say quarterly earnings, that's going to be back looking, or you want to, in the equity space, you only want to look at forward-looking data. What a company does in the quarterly earnings, it's irrelevant, because there could be unique things that make a company do well. The two things from a stock market or stock point of view, you want to look at a couple of things that's really important for stock, and it's only forward looking only. The only two things you have to use that I did was guidance from the company itself and just overall guidance in the industry it competes in, because the guidance says and gives confidence in the company's outlook. And if they don't offer any form of guidance, then that means, well, we're not going to do well over the next quarter, next year. So you want to focus on companies that have forward-looking guidance and only forward-looking guidance. Because the whole point of forward-looking guidance is that it shows their confidence in their outlook. And if they don't have any confidence in their outlook, I wouldn't invest in it, because that means that they don't anticipate their stock to move at all. The other thing is you want to see what other analysts are saying about the stock when they do their buy, hold, strong buy, and that's forward-looking as well. Those are the two things I would look at. Now, in terms of other data, that's why I'm in futures and options, because a lot of the futures has some forward-looking data, but the best one is obviously options, because, as I said, you have implied volatility, you have Greek analysis that you can use to look at the current 3 months away contracts, 6 months, even a year. And you can see how they look and what other traders are telling you on how they see it in certain instruments, on specifically options. So you have implied volatility there. You also have another one is open interest. So the open interest is important because that shows you what people are call it betting on, investing on, based upon open interest. And you can only get that with the chain data, option chain data, which is not expensive if you're using Rhythmic. That's why I'm in options market, or will be, hopefully, because that's the best forward-looking data out there as well. So hopefully I'll help you out. Okay, so I don't know who you got here still, but if you got any further questions, let me know. Gonna go in once. You just type up something, a little character like you did in the past if you want to got something else, because I know it takes a while for people to type up, and there's also a delay in the stream. Okay, let's try again. Going once, going twice, going 2.5, going 3 times. So are we done? I don't know. We done? I'll assume so. I mean, 2.5 hours, man. I'm done 3 hours, but that's pretty good, I think. And I'll be back next week. What I would strongly recommend is, if you want to know what's happening, go on the website at quantlabsnet.com and join the email list. The Substack, is not a lot of activity on there. I don't post a lot on Substack unless there's substantial interest in what I do on Substack, but it's generally not a top priority. I mean, YouTube, yes. The site, obviously, that's pretty well it that I'm seeing, and LinkedIn maybe as well. And just keep your eyes on the shorts as well in the channel. So I'll do it going once, going twice, going 2.5, going 3 times. All right, so we'll leave it at that. I appreciate you joining 2.5 hours later, or 2.5, 40 minutes. That's a pretty good stream. I'll see you next Tuesday. I might have another one come up on Thursday. I'm not sure yet. I'll check the stats on the new website, see how that did, and if there's some potential there. I'll do more of these streams because I want to be incentivized by what you're seeing in the store, the new store, hftcode.com. So the more streaming I'll do, for sure, 100%. All right, fellas, ladies, if you're out there, I don't know. We'll leave it at that. Thanks for watching. Have a good night and day wherever you are. Bye-bye.